that's called the mandala cut. So it kind of looks like the flower, the mandala.
Well, I'll give that a try. I love double cut. I love it. I think it's brilliant.
I love it. It's such a great cut. Yeah, when you V-cut it twice, it's called a crown cut. When you V-cut it 3 times, it's called the mandala cut.
I'm going to give that a go, I think.
Are you smoking a Romacraft?
Hey? What?
Hey, Des, are you smoking a Romacraft?
Yes.
Nice, dude, nice.
Yeah, I thought I'd have a short one because it's 12:30 on the night at the moment in the UK, so it's a bit late. So
did Duncan just say nice with an accent? Duncan, are you one of those people that when people with accents get around you, you take on their accent? Are you one of those people?
Yes.
In my country, we talk like you gringos. We talk like you gringos.
Throw another shrimp on the Barbie, Duncan.
Wrong country.
He's angling you, dummy.
Yeah, I know that's what Duncan was. Duncan doesn't know country.
The man is not even a convict, and you're saying he's Australian. That's wrong. Criminy.
Because I'm from Birmingham.
He called you a convict, Des. He called you a convict. That's messed up. You know what? There you go. Go get him.
Daryl, look what you got yourself into.
You lost the show already.
We apologize.
Yeah. 3 seconds in, we're off the rails. Off the rails.
It happens. It happens.
Are we
live now? Are we on?
Yes, we're live. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Hey, Mom. How you doing?
Yeah. So, Kevin, we're live. What's up, Kevin? Hey, everybody! Remember to share. We got a great show for you this evening. I learned from the best on how to do this, and I think this is a really good idea, Kev. So I really appreciate all the fine feedback that you give me. Strap yourselves in. We got a crazy crew tonight, and if it continues to, if we can't give people time, I'm just going to mute you guys or kick you. Duncan, you're back down to 42%. But I love you.
So what we all smoking tonight then? So what we got?
Oh, we are gonna talk about that.
And you're talking to me like that? That's crazy.
Duncan's been muted. We're gonna talk about what we're smoking in just a bit. So thanks everybody for hopping on. This is Stogie Road Diaries. I got a crazy crew here. Sit back. We'll be right with you in a few minutes. Check out that high quality production.
That was great.
Noise, real noise. I say, real noise.
What's that supposed to be?
That's called Cuban Irish. Cuban Irish.
Oh my goodness gracious! Thanks everybody for joining us. I think.
Yeah.
Listen, we got a great show tonight. We got a crazy crew. This is like herding cats in a rainstorm in a field full of mice. So we got my man Duncan Ramon Echevarria, Don Unoli Cigars, joining us again. There you go. Thank you very much, Duncan. Your hair came off.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to hide it real quick, or the lack thereof.
And my man Lars is back again as always. It's great to have you two join me. Listen, we've been talking about the cigar series during the Stogie Road Diaries, the tobaccos, the construction, the marketing, the blending, the flavors, the wrapper, binder, filler. Now we brought it all together, and I wanted to bring in some of the, in my opinion, some of the best cigar reviewers, and for separate reasons. I want to welcome my man Daryl from Lit Premium Cigar Experiences. You can check him out on Facebook and Instagram. One of the best objective cigar reviewers out there. How you doing, Daryl?
Doing good. How you?
I was like, I thought there was a delay.
How about you?
What are you smoking tonight, Daryl?
I didn't expect you to call me out, so I wasn't ready. Sorry.
I'm sorry. I should have. I was going in. You should have. You should have known that. I was going in order of importance.
With Daryl right now. Daryl and I need to be hanging out right now.
And you say, "Hey, Daryl, you." What? Yeah.
I was going in order of importance, Daryl. You should have known that you were going to go first.
I should have known it was going to be like this. That's for sure.
I know. Order of importance. There's only two left, Des. Which one of us is going to be the least important here? So Care had to say it. Which one's it going to be, Care?
You just answered your own question there, loudmouth. So what are you smoking, Daryl?
I'm smoking a Southern Draw Navy SEAL.
Very cool. Very cool. So yes, next on our panelist is the man across the pond. Lucky, and you know why, Kevin? I'm going to introduce him first, not because of that comment, but because it's like 1:00 in the morning over there, and he was awesome enough to join us. The man, the Cigar Cabin, Des Hammond. You can check him out on Facebook and on YouTube. Des, how you doing? Thanks for joining us, man. This is such an honor.
No, I'm happy to be here. Yes, it's late, but I'm extremely excited. When you asked me to do it, I was like, yeah, absolutely. Meet some great guys, and this is what it's all about, isn't it?
It is. What are you smoking tonight, or this morning?
Rovercraft Aquitaine.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Noise, I say, noise. Very noise.
So, last but not least, and Quincy, we're going to get your question to find out what's in. We've already asked that question. Duncan, what's in the oven? is the man?
I'm not getting up.
Is the man, the myth, one of the broadleaf bullies, but more importantly, he is the cigar prop, Kevin Shahan. His show is on Monday nights. You can check him out on YouTube. Gosh, Instagram, TikTok. I mean,
you can check me out on Twitter, Twitch, Periscope, TikTok, YouTube, everywhere. You can search Cigar Prop on all the social medias, and you will find me. And once again, I am Kevin from Cigar Prop. I am coming to you live from the Drew Estate Experience Acid Studios. I'm here in the beautiful, sunny Gulf Coast of Florida. I am the only one that is not all bundled up. It is warm and toasty here in Florida, and in my office.
That's the reason why I saved you for last, is because when I introduce you, you stop it and then you do your own introduction.
That's it. You are like your pizzazz.
You are like your own Bruce Buffer.
I am. You gotta. I walk around with my own theme music in my head, and it is we're always. And tonight I am smoking.
Hey Kevin, what are you smoking tonight?
Cigar. This is 20 years old. This is Lars, 20 years old. Can you remember? You have made hundreds of cigars. Can you even remember like the blend on this one? This was cigar number 3, probably.
No, I can't remember, but that's crazy. The cigar I'm smoking right now is like it's 41 or 42 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at that.
How many of those you have left? How many like 40? I mean, do you have hundreds, or is your supply really getting dwindled?
So the last time I did a rough count, I had maybe between 5,500 and 6,000.
Oh.
He can spare a few, Kev, is what you're trying to drive at.
Yeah, man.
But that's not that many. That's just
it's really not.
No. And that was for my first year. My second year, I still have probably, 15, 20,000, something like that.
Wow.
Ah.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Kevin, what am I smoking? Well, thank you for asking, Kevin. I'm smoking the Big Tony,
Nice.
with our new Big Tony Wyvetas that came in. So I'm matched. Twins wins. Duncan's got his shirt off. He's more comfortable.
I was requested. Somebody said Evan said to take it all off. So I'm easy with that, man.
Not all of it.
Not all of it. Not all of it.
I'm proud of my hairy man boobs. That's all I'm saying. I'm proud of them.
Wow, that's rough. I need to know.
Duncan also put a new hat on.
Yes,
he did.
I noticed.
We're going Che Guevara style.
What is that? Is that a beret?
Yeah, a little beret action. A little
It's
beret
a
action.
beret. You look good in a beret. Make
By
sure
the
you
way,
get your palette
I
and,
got Kevin beat on one thing. Kevin, it's official now. I am on Harry Cuban on Pulse at Fans Only.
Okay,
I'm
right
there.
on.
I got you beat.
Is it
Yeah.
fans only or only fans?
Yeah, only. Yeah, he doesn't even. Yeah, he's
only
on fans only. There's nobody over there.
There's no,
Yeah.
but I'm there. But I'm
Yeah.
there.
he's his
Yeah.
only fan.
Yeah,
It's like everywhere. It's like you turn on your computer, Kevin's everywhere.
A fan of
Yeah.
one.
A
Yeah.
fan of one.
So I got to ask the question because we do have.
When I'm smoking, yes. The question, yes. Thank
Oh,
you.
I'm getting there, Duncan.
Lies.
I got to ask the question. What do you do?
Lies.
Good Lord. What do you hold on. I think this mute button. What are you smoking, Duncan?
Oh, well, glad you asked. Today I'm smoking a private label blend, exclusively made for us here. I know you guys are not able to see it, but it's from the house of Hardy, and it is a fantastic one. These sell normally for $2.99, and you can get them at almost anywhere.
So Duncan's smoking a cigar that comes with a three-piece chicken meal. Fantastic.
he's a good businessman. These sell for $2.99. You can get them everywhere.
Everywhere, yeah.
Everywhere.
Not even
It's a
throw a
limited run, but you
website
can
out
get
there.
them
Yeah. You know,
You can get them anywhere.
you can get them places. Next question, please.
Yes. They're available wherever.
A coupon on my cigar just to prove a point, man. You can almost slap almost anything on a cigar and just I bet you somebody out there would be willing to buy like a box of 20 of these. I swear to God, man. It's crazy.
If they like Hardy's chicken, most definitely.
There you go. Each cigar gives you a coupon. There you go.
So, while Duncan is smoking his homemade death bucket, which is probably more like a death box.
Good ass though. Good construction. Look at that. You know.
So we're talking about cigar reviews, right? And smoking cigars and giving your opinion. And I want to start off, and I got to ask Daryl. I'm gonna give you the heads up that I'm gonna ask you a question, buddy. I've never seen anybody more meticulous when they do the documentation of their smoking experience, not only from the beginning through the end, and with your rating. You have a very, very detailed ratings system, but you also have your own personal preferences. So when you rate a cigar, what's the most important part as you're doing your objective measuring? What do you think is the most important part of the cigar that is going to impact your experience?
Well, two parts go hand in hand. That's the flavor profile and the behavior. And for me, behavior is how it smokes. If it doesn't smoke evenly, if it has holes and that sort of thing, then that's going to affect your flavor profile. So they kind of go together.
So basically, obviously, if the first part of our whole series was construction, if the construction is poor, obviously, you're not going to get to enjoy the blend as much. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. But for me, again, we talked about before, the construction is something I can't see. I can't see the inner workings of a cigar. So for me, construction is what I can see. But how it behaves is a whole other thing. And that's based on construction. I understand that. But how it behaves is what affects my experience. So how it behaves and how it tastes is what's most important. And the flavor profile for me is how well can you taste it? That's the strength of the flavor and the complexity of the flavors.
What about you, Kev?
How Instagrammable the photo is, or the band. Seriously, I am in the business of not only cigar reviewing, cigar influencing, brand ambassadorship. I am in the business of selling myself, selling my business. So the first and foremost, how when I smoke when I pick up that cigar for the night, am I going to be able to take a good photo and put it online? For others to see, because that's also what's going to get people's attention and get people talking about that that cigar, and then I can have that conversation with them. Like, oh hey, it's a good looking cigar. I'm like, oh yeah, then we'll have that conversation. It's that's why a plain band is quite annoying. That's why Steve Saka pisses me off when he puts just that little yellow foot band at the bottom of the cigar, and then I got to take it off, and then nobody can see what I'm smoking. I got to put it on my pinky. I got to do something weird with it. Now
It looks good on your pinky, though.
Yeah, it does look. Yeah, it does look pretty good on your pinky. But so you get a good looking cigar with a band, and that's what captures my attention first, because just like food, like Lars is a big foodie. We eat with our eyes before we eat with our mouths.
Right. Oh yeah, you're right, Kevin.
Yeah, and I think it's the same with cigars for a lot of people. We smoke with our eyes before we smoke with our mouths. These beautiful cigar bands, we want to pick it up. That's what entices us to it. But it better be a damn good cigar after that, because you'll remember that band. If it end up being a bad cigar, next time you go into the lounge, hey, look at that big, beautiful band. That cigar sucked.
Right. And that was the part of the last time when Lars and Duncan and myself were talking about the marketing and the artwork and the bands and how you can have a cigar with a very plain band or no band, like you said, and be the best cigar you ever had, and then have something that's got all sorts of artwork on it, and it just falls short.
Yep.
Just falls short. Des, over there, and I gotta give Des some time to talk. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. I want him falling asleep while everybody else is talking.
No. I'm saying, Kevin, now it's about the look of it, the band. What attracts me in the beginning. Now I do loads of I'll just show you quickly. I do all these boxes with all the bands on. Can you see?
Yeah.
Very nice.
So I do. That's how I remember what I've smoked, and I put them on boxes. When I buy a box of cigars, I just cover them with the bands, and that gives me a memory. And yeah, that's what attracts me to it. It's the aesthetics of it, what it looks like. I like the smoke as well, and I like the business end. If you watch any of my reviews, I love the business end of a cigar, which is the final part of it. The flavors come out, in my opinion. But yeah, having the look. I need it to look nice, trendy, attractive, and it look good.
Kevin, with the beard and Des, I think you'd be more interesting with an accent. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I would be. Oh, could you imagine how?
I think Jess would like you a lot better too.
I don't think people can barely stand me now. What if I had an accent? I'd be so much cooler and I'd be louder. I think I'd be louder with an accent. I feel
Kevin,
yeah.
Don't worry, Kevin. You have an accent to most of the world.
Yes. Yeah, well, there you
Remember,
go.
There's 2 billion people in China.
Loud as an accent.
You have a great accent.
Yes.
Right. Yes, thank you.
I didn't know loud was an accent.
Yeah.
People ask me where I'm from all the time because of my accent. Like, what the hell accent are you talking about? You and your stupid you-alls.
You tell them that. You tell them that accent. You're from North Carolina, Duncan. That's all you got to tell them.
Yeah.
But they're like, hey man, where are you from? And I go, I don't know, Outer Mongolia. I don't have an accent. They have an accent.
Yeah,
You all.
But Duncan. See, Duncan and I, when we started doing a show, he used to do cigar reviews. So Duncan, when you're reviewing a cigar, I know you don't do any formal reviewing, but what is it that is the most important to you? We've covered a lot of things, but what is it that really is your hot spot?
I preface everything when I say I'm not a reviewer, and then I dive into it and I said, well, to an extent, Kevin, I'm going to give you that one. Visually, if I see it looks nice, I'm going to expect something that lives up to that aesthetic. I want it when I pick it up and it's got a band that probably costs as much as, like a damn ring at TJ Maxx, I want that cigar to really live up to that. That's one. Now, two is I immediately, once I buy it, take the band off, and I'm looking at everything on the outside. I want to look at the toothiness. I want to look at the smoothness. I want to look at everything that wrapper is telling me. I look at the foot. Just the visual of the actual cigar itself is what begins to set in my mind what I can then expect. Seconded by that straight cut or V cut or crown or, whatever you want to go with nowadays. And I take an immediate draw, that nice, lovely cold draw. I want to see, is there airflow? Is there enough of a drag, enough of a hold that tells me that it's a well-balanced cigar that it is well constructed. Because a lot of times, if you just do a straight pull and it's just immediate air, you're going to get a hot burn, or you're going to have to slow it down really, really aggressively because you will get a hot box effect. So from the get-go, I'll give you aesthetics to capture my attention, but that doesn't last for me. Having done retail and all that stuff for a long time, I dive directly into the cigar. I want that cigar visually to begin telling me everything from that wrapper, and we go from there.
It's the looks that get you, but it's the depth of the cigar that keeps you.
See,
that's why we've been friends for so long?
Yeah. And honestly, I could care less the way a cigar looks. I really could. I mean, if it's veiny, if it's bumpy, lumpy, as long as it's not split, it's not there's not a hole in it. I could care less how a cigar looks because I've had the ugliest cigars taste the best, and then vice versa. So I don't care how a cigar looks. It's just that as long as it draws well, burns well, smokes well, tastes good.
So I'm curious. I am.
I was gonna say, brutally honest. I don't mean this in a negative way. I've smoked many a Padron that the moment you take the band off, right? The moment you take the band off, they're not necessarily the prettiest cigars out there. I'm gonna just say it flat out. I've always said that, but consistency, craftsmanship on the actual cigar itself, that is what keeps me going back to them. I have never ever looked at a Padron like the best looking cigar in the world. I mean, I've seen little veins, a little toothiness, a little warping, all kinds of different stuff. But man, it's everything about what they put into that it is flawless time and time again. And like you said, I'd rather smoke an ugly cigar that tastes phenomenal with perfect construction than a pretty looking thing that's a dog turd.
So I gotta ask Lars this question, and then Duncan, I'm gonna turn the microphone over to you because I gotta excuse myself for a few minutes. But Lars, you've been in the industry for a long time, man. Fantastic. You've made, as we pointed out, how many cigars over the last 40 years? Have you read reviews of your cigars, and what do you think of them?
In the very beginning, I had so many good reviews. I kind of wanted my friends to come on and write a bunch of bad reviews on me. So I had some bad reviews. And I remember if you research this on the internet, you could probably find it. It's pretty funny. But I had a couple of my buddies that wrote on there, and I told them, write really crazy bad stories about me. And one of them wrote a number of different ones where them and a friend went out and smoked my cigar, and it ended up burning a hole in their throat, and the one guy died. And then if you look at my boxes, I had a little warning label on it with a skull and bones, and it said, "Smoke this cigar and die toxic."
Yeah.
Or smoke this and die.
I remember I had the very first review on YouTube of a Lars Teton cigar.
Oh,
cool. And I remember Bradley Rubin had said when you guys were in talks with Alec Bradley of partnering up, he said he really didn't know much about you, so he Googled you. And up came my review, on your cigar. Cool. So that was the very first, cigar review that he'd ever seen of mine, and and then we've talked ever since. So yeah,
that's awesome.
Great story. Yeah.
So
yeah, I never really, it never really fazed me one way or another. Any of my reviews, it's kind of cool if somebody likes it. I don't, everybody has their own taste. So if people don't like it or hate it, that's okay too. I mean, not everybody likes escargot.
Yeah, and that's one thing I try and do in my review, because there are some cigars that are outside my wheelhouse. I don't like Roma Craft cigars. They're just outside my wheelhouse of flavors. So, and I don't know if Daryl, Duncan, Des, you do the same thing too. You try and give as much information as you can, because even if people say, I don't care for this cigar, but you try and give enough descriptors to where maybe you're going to say something that someone else, like I'm not a fan of Opus X. they're really floral, like a heavy floral. It's too much for me. But someone that really likes a floral, they're like, oh, hey, he didn't like it, but that sounds like a cigar for me. You know, there are reviewers out there that early in their review, I was just watching one the other day. It was obvious a minute in he didn't like the cigar, and then so he spent 15 minutes trashing the cigar and not really doing his job of giving these descriptors. And because you can always find something good with a cigar, and, you know. So do you guys do that too, Des?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a fan of the Camacho. But I try and be objective about it. I didn't enjoy it, but I find some good points in the Camacho. Like the presentation was okay. I liked the way it looked, but the actual cigar didn't do it for me at all. And I'm not a massive fan of the Roma Craft. This was the first cigar that come to my hand tonight. I was like, I'll grab this one. And now, you know, it's not a bad cigar. There's no real taste on it. But I think as a reviewer, for me, it's, even if a brand send me a cigar, I'll try and be objective about it. I don't know if every reviewer is the same, but do they all think because they've sent it to them, they've got to be kind about it? Now, that's just my opinion. I think I'd like to be saying it's perfect. It's got this, it's got that, it's got that. But if I feel that something isn't right with it, I think it's for me to tell you as well. Am I right there? Is that what
I think you're dead on. You're doing your job, you know, as a reviewer. You know, is trying to be biased, or trying not to be biased, trying to give, you know, good descriptors, and hopefully, you know, people can take away, you know, and I say that at almost the end of all my reviews, take from this review what you will. You know, yes. I've presented you with as much information as I can.
Yeah.
I love that, Kevin, because even if you don't like a cigar, if you're reviewing it, you should be descriptive of what you're reviewing and really be kind of as accurate as you can with your own opinion.
Yes.
I love that.
I just want to ask you guys just a quick question, if I may. For example, when and again, I've always said I'm not a reviewer ever, so I always listen to a lot of guys. In this case, you know, you guys have more experience at it than I do.
Sorry, guys.
When you approach it, because I unfortunately literally do not ever hold back. One of the things that I've been listening from you guys is, you know, finding at least some positive aspects of that, which it's great. I do agree with that. But from the get-go, one of the things that impacts me is flavor. So, and definitely Daryl, Des, guys, just jump in. But flavor to me, when I'm smoking a cigar, beyond moving on from that aesthetic first look at it, if I get something that's not appealing to me, my immediate positive descriptors are great construction, because I can feel it, I can understand that, good airflow, looks nice. But what I say a lot of times is the flavor profile does not meet my criteria for what I enjoy. And it's a good savings grace for me, because I don't want to necessarily trash a cigar. I don't believe in that. But it's to me, it's a safe zone, because I know there's a lot of guys who have a plethora of different palates that, you know, or enjoyment factors when they're looking for flavors. So do you guys also approach the flavors as something that is a make it or break it kind of concept for a cigar? Because I mean, the flavors might be great for you, Kev, but somebody smokes and they're like, good God almighty, what was he talking about?
Can I add something out real quick? Because I've seen you do this before, Duncan, and I think this is pretty cool. Not pretty cool, but I think this is interesting, building on what you just said, because you're talking about flavor. But I've seen Duncan smoke a cigar, and he gets a third of the way in, not even, and he said, this cigar is giving me all it could give me, and puts it down and walks away.
Yeah. I mean,
because not only the flavors, but it's the transition. It's the constant, you know, it's just not monotone from beginning to end. So I want to add that in there, because I've seen you do that so many times, and I found it interesting.
And it blows me away when it's actually from a good brand, from a company that I expect a certain level, and I have literally picked a cigar that much ash, and I said, this cigar is not going to have transitions. This blend is not doing anything more. And this is what was it I said the other day? A one-note Gregorian chant choir or something like that, you know. That's basically is, you know, it's like there's nothing else there. And I'll tell you for a fact. I mean, it's happened. I look at the cigar price point wise aside. If that happens, I'm done. And I can't
Now,
do anything.
yeah. Now you said something. I'd like Daryl and Des your opinion. We'll Daryl first here, because he hasn't talked much. You're talking about transitions
With this crew, it's not. It's hard to do it.
do you guys expect transitions in a cigar? I don't expect a cigar to transition. If it does, so be it. There are a lot of cigar reviewers out there that if they'll give it a bad rating and it needs to have a first, second, third, it needs to transition through the cigar. And there are a lot of cigar makers I talk to that say they don't blend a cigar to transition. They blend it to be melded and to be, one unifying, delicious, treat. So are you guys do you knock a cigar if it doesn't transition? Is that something that you give more points to?
No, I don't care if it transitions or not. Just like you said,
Okay.
What I'm looking for is a complexity of flavors, and if it changes, that's fine. But if it doesn't matter to me. What I'm looking for really is the overall experience. I want to smoke a cigar, not have to deal with it, not have to put it up, not have to relight it, and I want to taste good from beginning to end. That's it. And just like you were talking about earlier, I give an objective review from my own experience. Someone else might have different experience than I do, but I give it an objective experience rating, and then I give my personal preference. So it's two separate scores on a scale from 1 to 5. So it could, and I've smoked cigars that I give a 4.9 on a 5-point scale, but for me it's a 2 because it's okay, but it's not in my flavor profile preference at all.
Hey, Marshall.
Okay.
What's up, Papa?
Paul, the big Tony's watching. That's my dad.
What about
Hey,
you, Des?
Johnny? How are you?
Yeah.
What about you, Des? Are you looking for transitions? If a transition isn't there, are you disappointed?
I'll be honest. I do sometimes look for a transition at the very end of the cigar, but I don't necessarily when I pick up a cigar and I try it. I don't. It's not a necessity if it does transition because, like you said, a cigar should be the same all the way through. It should have the same notes. Obviously, everyone's palates are different. I think in the early days when I first started, I thought that's the way it should be. Should there be a transition? But the more I've got into these reviews, I've obviously recently I've gone on my own. I used to have a couple of guys who used to come with me, and we used to be like, we need transition. We need to think there's going to be a first, second, and third. But recently, over probably the last year, I've realised that that's not the case. You're right that it should be uniform all the way through, and I used to do ratings. If you watch my earlier ones, I used to go out of 11, but I don't necessarily do that anymore. I just say if it's a good cigar, if I've enjoyed it, got from it. But that's where I am with it now.
Do you feel like those thirds now are not necessarily is it transitioning, but is it going south? Because there are some cigars I've smoked where after you get in, it may not transition, but for some reason it could get real sour
Tough.
Midway through.
Pretty much, yeah. I agree. Yeah.
So, Lars, when you blend a cigar, Lars, do you take that into consideration with the transitions? I mean, what's your thought process when you've blended cigars on how you want people to enjoy their experience?
Yes, sometimes I do have it where it does transition. It changes flavors throughout the cigar. Sometimes I want it to be consistent through the cigar, so it stays the same flavor. But, I think that, like most of you guys will probably agree on this, but I don't know, that you can smoke the same cigar out of one batch and in the same time of day, and you love that cigar. And then the next day, you're just like, this cigar sucks. I don't want to smoke this. And it just has to do with your own palate and your own flavor and that time and your mood and how you feel. Because I've smoked my own cigars. I'm not even going to talk about other brands, but my own cigar that I love that cigar. And then I just not in the mood, but I end up smoking it anyways. Sometimes because I have to, because I got to taste it and whatever. and I'm just like, yeah, I'm not really enjoying this. I smoke it for a couple of puffs, and let me smoke something else. I'm feeling like smoking more.
That's pretty interesting because I was going to ask you about not only the transitions, but the pairing. Like Kev, I know you like your rum and coke. Do you think pairing with cigars has impacted your experience when smoking it?
I think without a doubt, that and that's why a lot of times, at least I'll start a cigar, and kind of get that initial flavor. I want a cigar that pairs well with my drink, and there have been many times to where I've had to change drinks, a quarter of the way through, or even after the first minute, like, well, this definitely is not doing it. And then you just change drinks until you try and find something that pairs well with that cigar. I think I've been doing this long enough now. Usually after the first 2 or 3 puffs, I know whether my drink is if it's not pairing well, I can instantly make one that I know how that's going to pair well with that particular cigar, and it does change the flavor of the cigar. So people watching reviewers need to know that what they're drinking. Are they drinking coffee? Are they drinking Coke? Are they drinking water? So they may want to be drinking the same thing. If you're buying a cigar, based on a review, you may want to be pairing that cigar with the same thing, to try and get that same experience. And then on an also note, what Lars brought up was your mood. How many times we've seen a cigar reviewer, they start a review and it's like, my dog died this morning, and then I was like, well, why are you reviewing a cigar? Do something. That cigar's not going to be good. I
don't think I've ever seen a cigar review start that way.
Yeah, well,
you know what, Kevin? Kevin, you're 100% right though about the food stuff, because depending on what you're eating will totally change your feeling about a cigar that you're smoking. Yeah. So you can smoke something, even it can be mild or full-bodied or medium, whatever, but because of the food you're eating, you could love that cigar or hate it, depending on what you're eating and what kind of food flavors in your mouth.
You said something not too long on one of your shows, is that you do salted caramel or salted chocolate or something, and I tried that, dude. Man, that is, with certain Nicaraguan blends that are a little bit on the spicier side. Yeah. I love that salted caramel stuff, man. Or I think it was bitter chocolate and salt.
Dark chocolate. Like dark chocolate is something that has changed the flavor profile of a cigar immensely.
Yeah. And one thing that Steve Sanka had taught me, when you're going between cigars, or if you want to cleanse your palate, a little piece of chocolate will help cleanse your palate for your taste palate. And he says, but you really need to cleanse your sinus palate too. And it's just taking a big whiff of coffee beans. Yeah. And I found it amazing. It instantly resets your sinuses instantly. It's just you just, I don't know what it is. It's like a hard reset on a computer, just a big whiff of coffee beans, and it takes all the previous cigar away. Even if you're halfway through the same cigar, it just starts over.
Kevin, I'll tell you a little trick that I use whenever I'm working on a blend. I will drink hydrogen peroxide. It really does clear your palate out. And
really?
Little shot of hydrogen peroxide, a little ice, maybe shaken, not stirred, an olive, fantastic.
Yeah,
you crazy? Hydrogen peroxide? Are you nuts?
Yeah. You put a couple drops of hydrogen peroxide inside of a bottle of seltzer, like a big bottle like this, and it's super healthy for you, but it also helps clear your palate out so you can really blend better.
Wow. So, Des, there's a question, Des. What is your favorite food and drink to pair with?
Hey, Jennifer.
I don't really have food when I have a cigar. I have drink, really, like a whiskey. I'll have a look what whiskey would go maybe with the cigar before I even have it. Or a coffee. I think a coffee might suit that particular cigar. So, I like Japanese whiskies. That's probably my...
Good stuff, man. Good stuff.
That's high end, man. That's high end. Daryl, what do you like to pair your cigars with?
Well, the first time I smoke a cigar, I try just to drink water so I can really taste the flavors, I can note the flavors. Then whatever flavors I get from it, that's what I decide to pair
Hey
it.
Sue, how are you, baby?
So the first time is usually water, and once I get the flavors, then I'll pair it with something. Or my favorite thing to drink with any kind of cigar is coffee, though.
Yeah, that's my go-to.
I've had
My man Marshall, who's a tobacconist from Tobaccology, he says water. He brushes his teeth with hydrogen peroxide and
Yeah, I
water.
love that, Marshall.
Marshall's the man.
Hey, I want to show everybody before I light this one up. This is like an older cigar I had that I did a long time ago. But this one's called The Evolving, and I'll give you a quick little story. So that's a picture of me when I was in elementary school. And then it has other pictures. Oh, yeah, let me see.
on the foot, lovely.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
And then like picture me back. Like when I
See,
was
now
in
that is an Instagrammable cigar.
Yeah,
That cigar catches your eye. You know, Lars was you were ahead of your time. You know, before Lars was thinking about social media before social media was a thing.
Okay, so if you guys ever go to the Wayback, you know what the Wayback machine
Yeah,
is?
yeah.
Okay, so you'll see that one of the first social media networks that was out there before Facebook and MySpace was something called h8u2.com, hateu2.com. I literally built that myself. That was my site. I did all the HTML, I did all the coding. I built the whole social network. It was crazy. Bill gave me one of those cigars. Oh, cool. So the funny thing about this evolving, so when Smoke Magazine wanted to do ratings on my cigars, I told my people, I said, I'm not giving any of I don't want you going through the stuff and giving them like the best cigars or the most perfect cigars. Go through the reject bin and grab, and they said you had to have 50 of the 50 of the cigars, and it had to be in one box. So I literally made a box that was only one level high and long for 50 cigars, a really crazy looking box, and I only sent them rejects. Went through the reject bin, only rejects. So the most fucked up looking cigars you could get. And they give me a really high rating. I figured, hey, listen, if they're going to rate my cigars, let them rate the worst ones first. And then if they like them, good. If they don't, who cares?
That's hilarious, man. That's great. You know, I was traveling a couple of years ago, and I was talking to Duncan. I'm like, I want to smoke a cigar. I said, but I don't drink martinis. I drink vodka chilled straight up. And he's like, that's a great drink. I didn't realize this. That you talk about something that cleanses your palate as you're smoking a cigar. Just chilled vodka. I mean, I like drinking coffee with my cigars. That's what I prefer. I'll drink some whiskeys or some beers, but depending on what the cigar is. But I was really amazed that by drinking that vodka, Duncan's like, yeah, he goes, that's gonna cleanse your palate. And I was like, Duncan, you're crazy. Well, usually I'm right on that one, but you were right. It cleansed. It was cleansing my palate as I was smoking a cigar.
And I'll be honest, I'm not a big vodka guy. I do occasionally drink it, but it's something that I came across and I enjoyed it. I thought it was really nice. I mean, a little sip, ice cold. I mean, literally, it just all of a sudden gets the salivary glands working a little bit better. You're getting a nice, refreshing taste again from that cigar, and a couple of puffs later, do another sip. Man, you're getting a lot. But to your point, Daryl, and some of you guys said there, I also, when I have never smoked a cigar, I do water.
Hey,
If it's a brand new cigar, I get a nice glass of water, and I want to learn everything about those flavor profiles. I want them to really educate me on what to expect. And then afterwards, I begin to see, okay, well, this is going to go good with this drink or that drink. I'm a dieharder on, I love scotches. I'm really getting into Irish whiskeys now and stuff like that. So, but that's my go-tos. That's why I like heavier alcoholic libations, because I smoke very heavy. I like to smoke something that's full flavored, full bodied, full strength. And it's just what I look for. But I want to make sure that I paired it correctly. And for dinner or over food, I do it afterwards based on a lot of like the food flavors, because I know that, for example, like oiliness, residues is still going to be there, some savoriness is still there, and certain cigars really absorb and pair beautifully after a nice meal with whatever still on the inner cheeks, and the mnemonic memory of that food kicks into overdrive when you're smoking that cigar, and you're like, I do taste a little bit more of this or that. So cigars always after a meal for me, except unless I'm doing like bitter chocolate and salt. I love that.
So can I ask a question then? So you guys have helped me out. So would you have the water before you start the cigar? Does that help then? Just cleanse the palate so you can get more of the flavors. Is that
during? I do it during.
During. Okay.
Yeah. So like that, I sip water, and then I smoke the cigar to help me again, just wash it a little bit out, and I really want to understand and fall in love with the flavors. I'm not looking for anything else at that time. I want, again, because I cannot tell you it tastes like this or juniper or sweet berries or any of that garbage. I don't understand that stuff, but
juniper.
Well, or whatever people are putting up nowadays on their reviews. I have no idea. I got, mashed potato, gravy. I have no idea. So the case in point is, a little water refreshes me. I keep going. I know. I'm a bad boy, bad Duncan.
I love that.
It's okay.
See, I don't like pairing with just water because I'm not always drinking water. When I'm looking for a cigar, I'm looking at my drink of choice is Bacardi and Diet Coke. That's my drink of choice.
Bacardi? Oh my God.
And that's, I drink Bacardi Silver. I drink Bacardi 4-year, 8-year. I drink Bacardi Black. So, so I don't just drink,
That's not real rum. That's not rum.
It's real because it's tangible. I can hold it in my hand. Sponsor. Which makes it real. So, so I really don't, and I always say jokingly, like if I'm going to blend a cigar, if I'm in a factory blending a cigar, I'm walking around that factory with a container of Bacardi and Diet. Because if that cigar doesn't blend good with that cigar, I don't want that cigar. So you can have a fantastic cigar, and if it doesn't blend well with a drink, I don't want to smoke that cigar. So I mean, really, for a review, you try and want to be objective as you can, which I try to be. But and I don't. I would probably say 75% of all the new cigars I smoke aren't during a review. They're just sitting here, in my office studio, just smoking a cigar. And I like blending them with my drink of choice. I like eating with a cigar, like physically eating and smoking a cigar at the same time. I want to see how it interacts.
Kevin, I love that. And not only that, but I do this, when I'm blending cigars, since I was a little kid, I was 15 when I started, but since I was 15, I always did that. I would test out the cigars with all different kinds of food, all different kinds of drink, because I wanted to make sure it tasted good with lots of different stuff.
Yeah.
And it was complementing it.
But how did that impact your blend as you started to grow? Like when you're 15 and you're blending a cigar, is it Yoo-hoo and Doritos, and then as you get older, your palate starts. You know what I'm saying? Like
when I was 15, I was eating really frog raw and
see that's my cigars would probably suck at 15 with what I was eating.
Yeah, no, I was eating very high-end food, and I had already owned a restaurant. Well, I owned a few restaurants by the time I was 15, so I was already a chef. I was already.
I was a cook. I wasn't a chef. I became a chef at one time. I was a cook at 15, so
very cool.
I worked on a line when I was 15, so yeah.
I just trimmed Christmas trees.
That's I was working on several lines by the time I was 15. I'm not going to go any further.
Yeah.
So, but when you talk about water, Daryl, when you start smoking a cigar, you drink water. Will you stop drinking it once you get that flavor, and then transition to what you think will pair well with it?
It just depends. If I'm really just trying to taste a cigar, usually I'll start out with water for the first cigar. That's all I'll drink. But after I've had the cigar and I know the flavor profile, then I'll switch to something else. Usually coffee, depending on how I prepare it, will pair with just about anything. But a crazy Alice, the fuck do you do with that? I mean, what do you do with that?
so Daryl,
you don't buy it.
Yeah. You've been doing this a while, Daryl. I mean, after that first cigar, do you know, like, on the second cigar, you're like, okay, so I think this coffee prepared this way, will be the best.
Yeah.
Have you gotten to that point? Like with me with my various Bacardis, I know what it's going to pair. So have you gotten to that way? Like I think this Cardi or this coffee prepared this way.
Yep. It's
So-
the amount of sugar or blender mix or creamer, or if it needs to be an espresso, or if it needs to be a coffee with espresso. If I'm home, I can do that. But if I'm out somewhere, of course you can't do that. So it'll be either coffee or Coke or bourbon or red or white wine, or it's that sort of thing.
Now, with what you're smoking tonight, I know you've had a couple of them, the Drew Estates. What are you pairing it with tonight?
I'm just drinking a Coke. I started out with water, and I'm drinking Coke.
Now, Des,
I was really hoping for something more than that, Daryl.
Yeah, Des, you're overseas. Tea, do a lot of cigar reviewers? Is it tea? Do you guys? TV has led us to believe you drink a lot of tea.
Wow, Kevin, you just literally
Coffee.
tea? Did you say that out loud?
Yeah, tea.
I just thought he was a raving drunk. That's all. I mean,
I'll be honest. I've never had a cup of tea with a cigar. I've always gone for like a whiskey or a half and half coffee. Now, with you guys saying this tonight, I'm going to try the water. I'm going to have a look at vodka. I'm not a vodka drinker, but it seems like it might be something that might pair with a particular cigar. I might, be asking for some advice, I think.
I do have a question, Des, for you, because in England you have access to Cuban cigars, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
So what are your feelings on the Cuban cigars that you have available as you're smoking Aroma Craft, which is not Cuban? Comparing the Cuban cigars versus the cigars that are available that are non-Cuban.
I'm not a massive fan of the Roma Craft. I love the Cuban cigars. I like the flavors. I like they're an interesting cigar. This for me, I was gifted these from it's Havana House in Stratford upon Avon. These wouldn't be Cuban but we struggle here to get some real nice cigars. And I know you guys, I've seen some of the stuff recently. There's a cigar that's been banned or something over there, or it's gone quite viral.
Oh, the Cigar Bond, the Limited Cigar Association has this cigar that's a Cigar Bond, and I guess the Cinnabon didn't like the name.
Is that one?
Now, Des, are you near a like Mitchell Orchant has the cigars, his line, his chain of lounges? Are you near any of those?
No. We have very few of those. We have one in near Liverpool. We have a nice one there, but in where I am, it's very limited. Cigar smoking isn't massively popular in certain areas. UK.
Okay.
Terrible.
Yeah, because I know in like cigar lounges like that have an online presence in England, they do not ship to the States. Period. That you cannot get. I had to have a box shipped from England to Scotland and then shipped over here, and it was just a whole mess and took like a month. So
I see some of the cigars that you guys review, and I think I want to get hold of one. I want one of those. That's what I want to be looking at. And sometimes it's very limited. It is limited. I mean, there's a guy that I've just done a review on, Tech Tour Cigars, and it was a fascinating story. And you think Sweden, it was an amazing cigar, and I enjoyed it. And I was trying to be, I was thinking, am I giving this just? But it was a genuinely nice cigar. And the guy, joking with that, the guy who did it was great. He was very accommodating, but it's difficult. And I know that you guys, he don't ship to America because of certain laws. I think he struggles to get them over there. I think he's looking into it, but yeah, it's a different ball game over it.
yeah.
Daryl, what is one of over the last couple of months and since you've been doing this, whatever, what has been a cigar that you've smoked that you were like, this is bar none in your objectives? And what's funny about Daryl's scoring is that it's so objective. He said, yeah, this cigar is a 4.8 out of 5. But for me, it's like a 3. And to me, when we talk about that, he's very that tells me he's very objective. What has been like the granddaddy, the perfect scoring, and also in Daryl's Lit Premium Cigar Experience, Iverson's wheelhouse?
Wow, that's
There's extra
I
money
think
if you
the
say
AJ
Stogie Road
Fernandez-
Cigars. I'm just saying. There's a $15 Starbucks card into it. I'll throw it out there for you.
You know, AJ Fernandez has become my favorite cigar maker, and it's mostly because a lot of his cigars are right where I like cigars. So I think the latest one that's been really, really good for me has been the Enclave Maduro.
Interesting.
There was a couple years ago, I smoked the um, um, Days of Glory, Dias de Gloria. I can't remember the name of it, but it blew me away. After I smoked 3 of them, I bought a box of them, and then after that, I bought another box. AJ's Monte Cristo.
The white label.
One with the long white label. Yeah, that's an awesome cigar.
That's an
Right
exceptional
in my
cigar.
wheelhouse, 5.0 on the objective scale. Yeah.
That is an
Haven't been
exceptional
able to
cigar.
find them either.
They are tough to find. I'm going to ask Duncan that question, and I want to go around because I'm interested in what everybody's thoughts are. Because if you don't know, Duncan's been in the industry for a while. He was running the biggest humidor in South Carolina and had taken this and just transitioned it into this incredible boutique and standard brand humidor, and is one of the best tobacconists I've ever met. When you walk up and you say, "Hey, I want a Padron," he's going to have a conversation with you why you like the Padron, and you'll leave with about 10 cigars, and not one of them will be a Padron. And that's a great tobacconist.
Money in the mail? Is my money in the mail after that build up?
No, it isn't. I'm going to get you a new hat though.
Hey, come on. It looks good. It looks good.
For you, when you think of cigars, which is the pinnacle? Like, what is the best cigar you've had?
Jesus, man.
Do I have to come back to you? Can I come back to you?
I end up like scrapping it out, dude. You know, I've always said, and anything. For 20 plus years, I've been smoking Fuentes. Fuentes to me give me consistency. They give me something that I know for a fact I'm not going to have any problems ever. I've had the pleasure of being part of the Fuente Family Foundation as well. Done a lot of events with them. Really, one of the best. I'm not going to say the pinnacle, but one of the best ones was when the old man was in the hospital. He put together the blend of the Casa Cubas, and I was so pleasantly surprised by it. A lot of folks did not understand the dynamic of that blend. He did not create that blend just nilly-willy. He, at his age, with what he was going through, Don Carlos, rest his soul, his palate was not what it once was. So a lot of it had to be created around him being able to taste it and experience it so that he could then put it to Carlito and say, okay, take this with you. So I love that story in and of itself. I know that to be a true story. The Casa Cuba was created when the man was in the last couple of years of his life, and he was going through a lot of medical issues. So at his age, dealing with everything, that he still created such a beautiful and well-crafted cigar. I love that. Above that one, though, I'm going to always keep going back to Paul Gamerian. The man is a damn beast at what he does.
Yeah, Paul Gamerian makes a damn good cigar.
His Connecticut, his vintage aged Connecticut, it is something that is absolutely flawless. It is a true creamy, smooth, full transitions all over the place. It's a cigar that really leaves you saying, okay, I'm going to smoke one more right after this. That's sort of like where I would say that's what I look at a lot of cigars. Give me this. And if not, at least give me alternatives to this. And I'm a happy guy with that.
Definitely. I'm a big fan of the Paul Gamerian cigars. I was hooked from the beginning. Kev.
You know, for me, you know, it really is like a 4-way tie on cigars. I mean, my 2020 cigar of the year was the Foundation Tabernacle Havana Seed Connecticut 142. That really is one of my favorite cigars, but it's really tied with three cigars that are very similar to that. You've got the Drew Estate H99, the Drew Estate Liga Privada T52, and the Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust Tricky Traca. So Nick Melillo, Steve Saka, Drew Estate, their past have all intertwined, and those are four cigars that are very, very similar to each other. And they're if you smoked them unbanded, you would almost think one person blended all of those cigars. So I'm really those are the four that I'm always going for, and but right now Nick Melillo, Foundation, just absolutely killing it. We did 90 shows in last year, and we always, every cigar maker, everybody we had on the show, we always ask, what are you smoking? What are you digging on? And I would say 99% of the time, every single person said Nick Melillo, Nick Melillo, Nick Melillo. Even Saka said Nick Melillo. I can't get enough of what that guy is blending right now. So those four cigars, I don't know if Daryl's had all four of those, but those are four very similar cigars. So that's my wheelhouse of flavor.
Gotcha. Lars, I'm going to save you for last because I want to ask you about your cigars. All right, I was going to go to Des, but apparently he's vacated the area. Look at that cabin. It is cigar cabin.
Stags. Look, he's got red stags by just sexy.
He does. Well, I want to go to you, Lars, because you know what? For me, when I think about the best cigar, I always look at one of the newer cigars I've been introduced to. Right? I not only cigars I like smoking with my own, but I also kind of take my cigars and I put them over here, and I like smoking other cigars. And I got to tell you, one of the cigars that I found to be most interesting and flavorful, and I was impressed with, that I was introduced to recently, was your Grass.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, Daryl, you're spot on with the AJ Montecristo. Fantastic. Duncan, the Fuentes found fantastic, and even Kevin, Saka stuff is fantastic. And I've had those cigars, and it's tough to. It's like choosing between number 1 and number 2 versus number 1 and 38, right? But that Grass really, to me, it was just the new one of the. I haven't had that cigar before. When you sent them to me, I was like, "Wow, these are really good. Do you have any more?"
Well, what's really funny is I just was on the phone twice today with this. I'm not going to mention his name. I don't like name dropping too much, but this guy is a movie director, and he was calling me about just that, the Grass. He loves the Grass.
Ron Howard likes the Grass.
Yeah.
Ronnie.
I can't believe Steven Spielberg or George Lucas, they like the Grass.
Yeah, don't talk about Opie like that.
I love that.
Sorry, I couldn't help it.
I loved Happy Days.
Hey, I'm Chuck.
Yeah, but he
I'm Chuck, right, Daryl? I'm Chuck in Happy Days. Go ahead, Lars. I apologize.
Yeah, no problem. No, he was. It was really funny because he is just so crazy about the vintage Grass, the stuff that I made like 35 years ago, Grass, and he buys the new Grass, but he goes crazy searching for stores that have the vintage boxes of it. Marshall knows a few of the guys down in Jersey that also buy a bunch of my vintage stuff and boxes of my I just found some Happy Cubas too that I had, and some LaProxinettes, and it's never
Yeah. Keep looking.
Yeah. That's good, Kev. But the funny thing is that he ended up those are expensive cigars. The body shops, they bought a bunch of boxes of vintage body shops from like 30 years ago, and those things that runs like probably about $4,000 or $5,000 a box.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, I think the next show you should send a bunch of us some of those cigars. We could do a review live.
I'll send you my
Body
stimulus
touch.
check. I'll send you my stimulus check. And just send me I'm just saying.
Save that for a new hat, Duncan.
I'll sign it over. Send me a few.
No,
sent
save for a new
Duncan-
hat.
I sent Duncan some really vintage stuff. And
I'm not
Kevin
throwing
and
anybody-
Daryl, I'll make sure I send you guys out some cigars too.
Wow, man. I should get some kickbacks for this, guys.
I know. But I
Listen,
I
the
have
kick-
some vintage crazy stuff like the cigar I first started smoking on the show. I love that cigar. It's not like super full body. It's more like a mild cigar with a lot of flavor, but it's so good. And sometimes I sit back and I'm just like, holy fuck, I really made some damn good cigars when I was 15. I'm surprised myself half the time.
Well,
We lost the bearded.
we lost the bearded bookends. What's up with that?
God.
That is interesting, Lawrence, because I was interested. You know what my kickback is? My kickback is every time I get to use that seasoned salt on something.
Did you get your package?
No, not yet. No, not
It's
yet.
coming.
Yeah, I gotta tell
be
you,
there
man.
tomorrow.
We did like little steak sandwiches yesterday, and my partner seasoned. Oh my god, the best stuff on steaks ever, dude! Like the best.
Thank you
Holy
so much.
Moses, I'm addicted to your spices. Like woo, wow, crazy stuff.
Thank you
Daryl,
so
that
much,
seasoned
Duncan.
salt, Daryl, on that when you send me the pictures of breakfast with the eggs, a little bit of seasoned salt on those eggs, I'm gonna tell you, man, out of this world, bro.
Well, if I had some, if I had some.
Well, I'll
You-
put some
you
in a little
share
baggie
cigars.
for you, buddy.
You don't share, yeah, you don't share the thing. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, bro. I will share cigars with you all day long because I love you and you're my brother from another mother. But I will not share the seasoned salt unless my neighbor's at the end of the driveway with money.
Hey Duncan, did you try any of those cigars?
So I do a crazy, quirky thing, and Carrie will attest to this. And please do not ever hate me. I rarely ever smoke a cigar from the get-go that
Thank you,
anybody
Jennifer.
sends me. I normally let them sit for a little bit of time. Believe it or not, when I was mentioning PG, Paul
Honey,
Gammarian,
those sat for 40 years.
Yeah, they've been sitting, Duncan. He goes through his own
sitting.
process, Lars. I gave
They've
him
Sitting.
Paul Gammarian that were 15 years old.
and I still had them like for a month before I even smoked them. And he goes, "Dude, when are you gonna smoke them?"
I called him. I said,
Baby, they've been sitting for 40 years.
Duncan, literally, Lars, I shit you not. I was like, Duncan, I'm up in McLean. I'm going to get some more these PGs. He's like, oh, I'm good. I go, listen, if you don't like them, just tell me. I'm not going to buy these cigars and keep giving them to you. He's like, I haven't smoked any yet. I go, bro, what? And then he goes, okay, I'll smoke one. And then he smoked one. He's like, give me more. Bring more down.
So again, and it's just one of the like quirky things. I normally just let them sit for just a little bit. In this case, we will be smoking them, my mom and I, this weekend, because I already told you that I want to do some pictures with my mom smoking your stuff, and I'm looking forward to that. So I'm gonna hang out with her on Saturday. So we'll definitely do that. Be very Instagrammable, because I'm learning today. So it's just a weird thing, man. I literally, it doesn't matter. So I've had guys gift me cigars up the gajingy jingies, and months later, so how'd you like them? And I go, oh, they're still in my humidor. They're like, what? I had original Liberty series, like they were like 12, 13 years old, whatever the heck it was. And a year later, my buddy said, dude, you still have them? And I go, oh yeah, I haven't even opened them
Your
yet.
buddy's name
Like,
was Carrie.
oh yeah. Well, there was you, and then also, Carrie, you know what, man?
I gotta give you, dude. I love you. You know, I gotta give you a hard time, man.
Damn, man.
But you know what's funny is Kevin and Dez both left. They came back at the same time, and I was really hoping that Dez would come with a black flat-billed hat, and Kevin would come back with a red hat. I was hoping for that.
That would have been hilarious. Oh my
You guys
God.
are not thinking on the same wavelengths. So
That would have been so fun.
I know I wasn't. The moment he said that he was gonna come back with a black anything, I was thinking, what? My
Black
hand
hat.
did this automatically. What?
dude, that's how you get bumped
Hey,
off
we
the show.
never heard Dez's
What?
favorite cigars.
That's what I was getting to. I'm glad Dez is back. Dez, we were talking about with all your reviewing and all that you've been doing. But also, personally, what is your favorite cigar? Like, what's the wow factor that made you go, wow, this cigar is hands down one of the best cigars I've ever had?
Difficult because I just have loads of different cigars, but the cigars that stand out for me are. I feel a bit embarrassed because I like the Hoya Silva. I like the Oliver. I used to love the Rocky Patels, but when I speak to some people in America, they're not. Are they a big cigar over there or?
What's that?
Rocky Patels. I mean,
yeah, they're lovely.
It's a small boutique company over here.
Oh, they're amazing. They're just great. Not.
Yeah, huge cigar. Yeah.
Oh, amazing. Yeah.
I don't know if I believe you or not.
Dude, in this crowd, you really can't tell, can you?
I'll tell you, Des, for probably 2 years, I didn't smoke anything Rocky Patel. My palate had changed, and I don't know if Duncan, Daryl, if you guys have experienced that. You know, there's a cigar that you once loved. You smoked a lot of them, and then like all of a sudden, you know, just it wasn't doing it for you anymore. So it was like 2 years I didn't smoke a Rocky. I found an old vintage like 99 in my humidor, 92, whatever it was. I'm like, oh, this is a cigar I used to love. So I smoked it, and then I fell in love with the brand again. And now I'm smoking more Rocky. I'm liking a lot of his newer stuff, and it's just like it's hitting, you know, all the right notes. And has anybody else experienced that where you shifted for a while from one of your favorites?
It happened exactly with Rockies, but it was actually who he brought on a few years back when he introduced Hamlet Paredes. I fell deeply, madly in love with whatever Hamlet.
Yeah, that was a good cigar.
And I had the opportunity to run into him at the time. It was still called IPCPR. It was in Vegas, and it's funny. We're Hamlet and I. He's Cuban. We're talking Spanish, and he goes, "Hey, let me take you over to Rocky." And I go, "I've met Rocky, a bunch of times. I've talked to him. I love him. Blah blah blah. But I'm here for you because I said, Mofo, I need to hug you. You created something that was really captivating, engaging, and we had a fantastic time. And I think it was actually Hamlet that introduced me back to Rocky. I looked at the Sun Grown as well that he had done.
They're good cigars.
Yeah, I like the Sun Grown.
It had that. I had to remarry myself back to the brand. But for a long time, Kevin, no joke, man. I had also set it aside. I said, you know what? I looked at the Edge blend, and I did some research, and I said, you know what? It's okay as a lower level Rocky because I like dailies. And then I discovered Omar Ortez, and I said,
yeah.
I mean, I know the history between the two of them. And I said, I'll smoke an Omar Ortez hands down. And for many years, I had this thing in my head when I smoked Hamlet Paredes. I'm trying to remember what the name of his cigar is, but I said, I got to see what Rocky's doing again, because if he got this talented guy who was directly trained by the quality control director of Habanos SA and Tabacuba, the two companies that regulate everything that goes on in Cuba, he was trained by the main people there. I said, wow, dude. I said, this is some good stuff. I need to go back and see what's going on with Patel's stuff. So
yeah. The name of his cigar is called Hamlet.
Yeah. There's a big H on it.
Yeah, Daryl.
I love them because he was just a Cuban,
That is my first cigar.
Yeah, Daryl, what about you? Is there has that happened to you before? You fell out of love and then back in love with a brand or a cigar?
No, honestly, Kerry knows this. I haven't been smoking cigars that long. It's been less than 5 years. So my cigar exploration has been through brands. So a couple of years ago, I smoked through all of Steve Saka stuff, just phenomenal stuff. AJ was 2020, and now I'm back to trying different brands. But I haven't had a Dunbar cigar in I don't know how long. It's been since 2 years ago that I've had.
Oh wow!
So I go through entire brands at a time. If you ever look at my Instagram, you scroll through, you'll see whole brands for a year before I go off to other things. So I think when I first started out, I smoked more Oliva cigars, and I haven't been back there either.
Shout out to Corey.
Yep.
I love you, baby.
What about you, Des? Has there been a cigar that you've fallen out of love with and then had come back?
Well, when I first started, the very first cigar I had was an Alec Bradley Black Market, and I loved it. But I just stopped smoking Alec Bradley completely, and it must have been for about a year, I think. So Alec Bradley, and then I've had a couple of Alec Bradleys. I've had the Hooligan, which was quite nice. But yeah, I fell out of love with Alec Bradley, and not until recently I've started having a few more. But yeah, pretty much the Alec Bradley.
Now you guys over there in England, you can get Alec Bradleys that we can't get here. So you guys have a couple of really good Alec Bradley cigars that we can't get. So so definitely
Hooligan. I don't know if you've had that one or you've heard.
Yeah.
And that was quite nice. That kind of got me back into looking at more Alec Bradleys. And you're right, there are a lot of Alec Bradleys here. Same as it seems like Rocky Patel seem to be massive over here. They're everywhere. You go to any cigar shop outlet, they're literally they're the first things you see.
All right, now I got a question for everybody, including we're going to start with Lars. Sorry, Chair, it's not my show.
Well, I was wondering when this was going to happen, and I realized when it does happen, I'll just let it happen because I'll give you your 5 minutes of fame. So go right ahead.
What's the cigar you smoke that just it takes you back to a moment in time, and then it just you pick it up because you're in a good mood. And you're like, okay, all the stars and moon has aligned for this day. I didn't call anybody a cunt or a fucker, so it was a good day, and I want that cigar because that cigar reminds me of that time. What's that cigar for everybody, Lars? What is that cigar for you?
I could definitely tell you it's my Leproxonet. My older Leproxonet, the one that I had that's like about an 8-inch by 48, and that was one of my favorite cigars that I made, and I love that cigar. And Leproxonet is like French for the pimp.
Okay. Apropos, yes,
Little translation for you there, Kev.
Yeah, and it also is like $180 cigar.
Oh, okay.
So I never get my check. Just include one. My check is
So we'll just keep going. Des, how about you? What's that one cigar that just means so much to you?
Well, the one cigar that means so much to me is the My Father. I like the My Father brand. I like that because it was when I used to, because obviously my dad died very early, and I was 20, I think. Yeah, I was 20, and I used to just say, I'm gonna have a My Father's, and that brings me most memories. I love them. I just like the idea, the branding My Father's cigar, because I used to go down to the cemetery. See, I'm bringing it down a little bit, but it was just a cigar that if I'm feeling a little bit down, or I just take a My Father and I just sit back and I just have that, and that gives me good memories. I enjoy it because it just brings back to my old man and when I was with him and things like that. And I've never smoked a cigarette. My dad used to smoke roll-ups.
Mm-hmm.
In Golden, Virginia. Just making these roll-ups. He'd make like 30 for his next day when he was going to work, and I'd just go down there, and I always said I'd never smoke at all, nothing. And it's crazy how it all changed. And My Father was probably a brand that I do have memories of, and I enjoy My Father. And I don't know what you guys think of the My Father. Is it a good brand over there, or?
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah. It's not a cigar. It's in my wheelhouse. It's I've had maybe a half a dozen different My Fathers, and it's just I haven't found that one that's just been that makes me want to come back to the brand. I've experimented with the brand, but I haven't found that one yet that makes me want to keep coming back.
See, that's where I am. I want to experiment with loads of different cigars and just think that one is one I want to keep going back to.
It's a good cigar. I mean, the whole. I mean, I think when you smoke a My Father's, it's gonna be consistent. It's gonna be good. I like the Judge. I think that's a solid cigar. Yeah. The Don Pepin line is fantastic as well. But I I think it's just one of those cigars that when you go in and you buy it, you know it's going to be a good cigar.
Yeah. No,
You
no.
know
What
it's
about you,
gonna be
Care? What's
consistent.
that? What's that special cigar for you?
Well, I have 7 cigars. It takes me back to 7 separate memories. It's funny is because there are a couple. I mean, I do like smoking my original Edition 35 because whenever I smoke that, it kind of takes me back to when I first started wanting to get, when I first started off blending and working on the cigars and coming out with my own brand. I love smoking the Big Tony just in honor of my father because he's such a great guy. Recently, recently, as I mentioned earlier, smoking the grass did take me back to that moment in the late 90s, mid 90s, when I was working in Harrisburg and I walked into a small cigar shop in Harrisburg and this one box just popped out to me and it was Lars's box. And I actually smoked this cigar back around 1996, 97. And I smoked several of your cigars and they're all fantastic. But that cigar really kind of, the flavors on that cigar really takes me back to that time. Not necessarily like a fond memory, or it just takes me back to that time when I smoke, and I'm like, I go back to being, in my late 20s and just hanging out with my buddies after work and smoking that cigar. Really, those are the ones that really kind of transport me, really, more than anything.
That's awesome.
It's the ultimate time machine.
It is. It most certainly is. I mean, and that's why I joked around and said there's several cigars, but there are several cigars that take me back to XYZ. And, I could tell you smoking an El Galan by Felix Mesa, that takes me back to a time when I first met Duncan, because he introduced me to the brand. And I remember sitting down and smoking it. It was a very, very bad time when I met him. But it does take me back to that time when I met Duncan. So I think different cigars have different memories. Even like hanging out with Daryl at Boda. I love hanging out with Daryl on Sundays at Boda and smoking a good cigar with him. It's just some cigars take you back to certain moments and enjoyable moments. And honestly, the Oliva, I smoke an Oliva. It takes me back to Jennifer giving me my first Christmas gift like several years ago that got me back into cigars. Because I smoked cigars and I took a break and I got back into it. But she bought me the gift pack, the box, and that just got me right back into it again.
Right on, Daryl.
When you first asked that question, the first one that came to mind was the first cigar that Carrie suggested that I smoked when we were at Bodo one Sunday. It was L'Orange, I think. I can't think of the name of it, but that's the first one I thought about because that was a first time that he suggested a cigar and I actually smoked it and I loved it. But aside from that was my first time smoking a anniversary Padron 1964. It tastes so good and it burns so well that it just imprinted in my mind that this is what fine cigar smoking is about. When I first started smoking cigars, I went into a little shop that's here. It's closed now, but I went in and I asked the purveyor. I said, I'm wanting to try cigars. Just got done with an exploration of craft beers, and I want to try something different. I want to try cigars, and he taught me nuts to soup about cigars, how they're made, and what the binder, filler, wrapper, all that, and he sold me one of his cigars that he had handcrafted in Charleston, South Carolina, and it was good, but from that experience, I started exploring cigars to try to, okay, what is it about cigars that makes people want to continue to smoke? And from that's when I started doing my journaling, and from that came my, I don't really call myself a reviewer, but I started reviewing as a way to journal my experiences and figure out, okay, what makes a cigar different, one cigar different from another. When they say Connecticut, exactly what do they mean? Habano, what does that mean? What does Maduro mean? What does Oscuro mean? And so I smoked a lot of cigars. I smoked about 7 cigars a day, 6 days in the week back then, just exploring different ones. And from that experience, I got to know why guys delve into this subculture so deeply, and I've grown to love it. But from that, the height of my experiences have been that one cigar, and I think I smoked it on my birthday a couple of years ago. Went into Boda to get a celebratory cigar, and it was the most expensive cigar in the shop. And then I realized why it was the most expensive cigar.
Yeah.
Because the experience was really out of this world. Never forget it.
A question I want to ask is, on average, how many cigars do each of you smoke a week? Because does it vary on the week or how you feeling? I mean, how do you determine where?
I think some of us can answer that on how many cigars they smoke a day. We're probably
that's basically for me too.
Yeah.
Too many tests. Oh, man.
So for me,
I smoke 2 cigars a day.
yeah, I'm 2 a day.
2 a day. Okay.
Yes, I
It
smoke.
could be one cigar for me, or upwards of 5 or 6 in a day. The only person that I know that always blows my mind is my mom. She smokes about anywhere between 6 to 10 cigars in a day, but
Really?
she was in the industry a long time ago, and I mean, she comes from a little bit
Thanks,
of that.
Marshall.
She sat side by side with blenders and working, so she enjoys it. For her, it's something that it's the most relaxing thing.
Yeah.
But I could go a nice Churchill. I started in the morning, and I might still be smoking that cigar by noontime. But on an average, minimum 2, comfortably 5 in a day.
Wow. Okay. It's interesting.
Lars, you got thousands at your fingertips. How many do you smoke a day, Bubba, my man?
Probably 2 to 10.
Yeah.
2 to 10.
Yeah.
You know what's really funny is my ex-girlfriend, she smoked like more cigars than I did, probably more than 10 a day. And
that's why she's your ex-girlfriend.
well, no, actually, my
That part of the humidor is looking a little bare, honey.
yeah, my ex-wife, she smokes a lot of cigars. All my girlfriends all smoke cigars. And there's this singer that I work with, Alessandra, who's an amazing singer, amazing songwriter. And she smokes she'll smoke all day long. She'll start the morning at breakfast with the Churchill. She's like balls to the wall. And then my girlfriend smokes tons of cigars currently. She's a big cigar smoker. So.
That's great. What's funny is I always start my day off with. I always try and start my day off with a good cigar. I always go in, and then throughout the day, I'll smoke several throughout the day, and I'll alternate between, a good bundle cigar from a good manufacturer to a good premium. But it's several in a day. Kevin Corbelese did have a question for the crew. And I did want to say one thing. I wanted to give a shout out. Dr. Rodriguez hopped on a GTO Cigars and said, "Hola." Dr. Rodriguez is a fantastic guy and makes a great cigar. So Kevin asked, and
before we get to Kevin's question, Duncan, I want to finish up with you.
I
forgot that one cigar. What is that one cigar for you?
It's funny, and thank you, Des. You and also one of the best memories I do have happens to be with my father's cigar experience. My dad passed away also 12 years ago this July. And it's funny because one of the times that I was hanging out, the original My Father Cigar folks were at El Rey de los Habanos. That was the name of their original factory here, which means the King of the Habanos. And I would go there a lot. I lived a few minutes from there. And one day, I sat down and I took out my fancy schmancy. I've said this story a million times, but it's always one of the neatest memories because I got slapped in the face the right way sometimes. You got to get that. And I'm sitting there in front of, Pepin Garcia, and one of the guys from Holt's Cigars was there as well, and there was a nice group. And I'm cutting my cigar, fancy cutter. Then doing the whole lighter thing, and Pepin just looked at me and he goes, "Who the fuck are you?" And I was like, "What?" He goes, "Dude, your old man would light a cigar on a stovetop. I mean," and he was just he started schooling me on the history of who we were, because my dad had known the Garcia family from way back in Cuba, from when Pepin was a teenager, and again, they're from the same region, all over the place. So when my dad passed away, Pepin and Johnny and everybody came to pay their respects at the funeral parlor, which was a beautiful thing. And we smoked cigars there, and it was just awesome. But to me, something about that, my father's cigar experience, sitting across from this old man, and he said to me, "Just remember, he took out a big lighter and lit the cigar with a big lighter. He had nipped the cigar with his teeth." And we were just, I started crying because he said, just don't ever forget, dude, your old man, he was a Guajiro, he was a farmer, he was just a man of the earth, and we set the standards by which the world will have known what cigars are all about. He goes, never forget that. And we're a poor third world nation. And it never left my head. So I literally, I travel with 4 or 5 big lighters in my car. I have a little pocket knife. I mean, whatever is handy sometimes. I mean, I do have my cutters, my nice lighters, all of that stuff. But I'm not joking. I've cut a cigar with nail clippers. I mean, it doesn't matter to me.
Did you clean the nail clippers first?
I do.
Okay.
Trust and believe, I do.
Duncan, for you, I looked around for a body to set on fire for the show,
it's one of the coolest memories.
I don't know, fortunately or unfortunately, no one was here.
Yeah. I got a few guys that I wouldn't mind setting on fire, I can tell you that. I know a few.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like we said, it's a beautiful memory. It's something that I can never ever forget that. And it's funny, it happened when we were smoking that cigar. It ended up being the #1 cigar in the world. I think it was in 2015. It was the Le Bijou 1922. And this guy treated it like it was just something he hand rolled in the back of the house, and I'm about to light it, And Pepin really gave me an insight into a beautiful cigar is a beautiful cigar, and it's a beautiful experience, and it's a beautiful memory, and I will never ever forget that. The last time I sat with the old man, with Pepin Garcia, I was visiting down at their new headquarters in Miami. I'm talking to Jose Ortega, the VP of Sales, and I feel his hand on my shoulder, and he goes, "Dímelo, loco!" Like, hey, what's going on? You crazy? By the way, Cubans were always naturally loud, and I looked up, and there's the old man. And to your point, Kerry, when you said earlier, the judge, he at the time had just finished blending the judge. He passed it all out to all of us. I kid you not, man. Same thing. He took out a big lighter. He bit the end, lit that son of a gun, and we were enjoying it. And all these moments with that sweet old man, they always reminded me of my dad. And I can never forget that. I love other brands. I truly, truly do. But Pepin Garcia of My Father Cigars linked something inside of me that forever will be there, because it reminded me of my dad. And I'm sorry, but I feel you, Des.
Yeah,
that is sacred. So, do they make the greatest cigars? I don't know, but they make a beautiful cigar that, to me, will forever.
But they make a great memory, right? It takes you back that.
Yeah.
They definitely make a great memory. And Kev, the last question of the evening, Kev, he wants to know, when you do cigar reviews, do you give that cigar just one chance, or do you smoke more than one before the final rating? Des, to you.
I smoke it once. I'll do the review, and if I enjoy it, I'll go back to it. But so what was the question? Sorry, what was that then? So
I think what he's trying to ask, what he was asking is, do you base your reviews off of just one experience with that cigar?
No, not at all. No.
Or will you smoke the cigar a couple times and then do a review on it?
If I'm doing a review of a cigar, it's the first time I've smoked it.
Thank you. There are very few reviewers that are like that. I'm the same way. I won't review a cigar.
Kevin, question to you.
No, go on, Des. I'm just
No, I'm joking around with you. I was
yeah.
giving you a hard time there, Kevin.
Yeah, once I will have it once, and I won't have tried it beforehand at all. No, because I feel like I want to give it the best review I can give it. And I think if I've tasted it before and it's different, it will mess up my mind, I think.
Gotcha. Kev?
No, once, one and done. If life's too short to smoke a bad cigar. If the cigar is bad the first time, throw it out and don't ever come back to it again, ever. It's there's only been I've only broken that rule for myself maybe twice, maybe 3 times, because someone has given me one and I'm like, crap, the cigar sucked the first time, and then sometimes it sucked the second time, and maybe it was good, but yeah, life's too short. I got 3,000 cigars in my humidor. I got 1,000 I've never smoked before. Life's too short to smoke a bad cigar. Review it, rate it, move along, sir.
Sounds like Kevin's sending out the next shipment of free cigars.
Yeah.
Daryl, I know how you review, but I'm going to ask you and act like I don't know. When you review your cigars, at one and done.
It depends on how many I have. When I post my reviews, I say how many of them I've smoked, so you get an idea of my experience with it. So before I do a final rating, it's at least 3.
So you'll smoke 3 before you give a final rating.
Yep.
Now with that, Daryl, have you? Now on that, Daryl, have you ever smoked like your first one, and whatever it was either horrible or it was unbelievably good, but then when you get to the third one, it was 100, 180. It was flip the script. So it was bad the first time, good the third time, or good the first time, bad the third time. How often does that happen?
Well, it depends on the cigar, but my ratings are mathematically done, so it's actually an average of the scores. So on each measure, it gets a score, and then that adds up to the 5-point rating for the cigar. So depending on how it goes each time, that objective score will change. But my determination of my personal preference usually comes from the first smoke, and it never changes.
Duncan, what's your feedback on that?
3. But I approach it not as a reviewer because, again, I'm just horrible at that. I approach it as a retailer and as a tobacconist. I want to make sure that whatever I'm going to bring into either a customer who's contracted me to come in and overhaul his shop, I want to make sure that whatever's coming in is solid. So I'll smoke it, once. If the cigar is really not, up to par, I chuck it to a lot of different criteria that could have been just the one in the, in the box. I give myself a few days, smoke it again, and by number 3, that's when I make my, my recommendation to either the shop owner or if I'm going to buy it in or not. Because after the third time, if the cigar has really not lived up to the 3 things I look for, which is the construction, the flavor, and just the value per dollar, if it's not doing that, I don't recommend it for any shop. I really don't, because it becomes harder for any one of my customers or any one of my clients to go to that cigar. If it's a $10 cigar and it sucks, why do you want to spend, $20, $30? You don't want to do that. You're gonna lose more that way. So I come at it strictly from the retail and tobacconist side of things. I want to make sure that whatever I'm going to recommend or bring into the shop truly is going to hustle. It's going to move. It's going to flip.
That makes sense. Yeah. On your side. Yeah.
Completely different aspect of it, but still using a metrics in order to get to that point, right?
Yeah.
So Lars, I'm going to take that question. I'm going to completely change it because being a blender, it may be a little bit more difficult to answer. How long do you work on a blend as you're hearing everybody here saying, I smoke 1 cigar and I'm done, 3 cigars, I'm done. How many renditions of a blend of a blend do you go through before you actually get to the one that you love?
It could be a lot. It could be instantly, I just love that and I'm going to leave it like that. That happened with the grass. But some I will literally spend maybe a month or a couple of years on until I know what I want and I haven't gotten it yet, and I'll just work on it until I get it.
So you're
Now,
that's patience beyond belief.
Yeah.
Now with that being said, Lars, so okay, so you're done. They've presented you with a cigar. You smoke it. You're like, okay, we're done. This is it. How many of those do you smoke before you give the final stamp?
Sure. So nobody does that blending for me. I'm the only blender.
Well, yeah, yes,
Yeah.
okay,
And I usually am the one rolling all the cigars that I smoke for the blend
okay,
because
okay.
I want them rolled in a certain way. I want the amount of weight of the tobacco in that cigar because it could be a robusto, but I'll change the weight so it's a lot lighter or a lot heavier depending on what the smoke is or what I'm making. But yeah, it really will take me a long time sometimes, but sometimes it'll just be the first time I do it, I'll like, okay, I got it. That's the one.
Right.
Or
I think Kevin's question was more QC. Like once you come up with a blend and you're like, this is it, this is the one, start making it. As they're rolling them, how many do you smoke while that process is taking place
shit,
in order to set?
fuckload. Okay, Kevin. Yeah, I saw
Kevin, that's between
fuckload.
one and a fuckload. I'm just letting you know that.
Every time I'm just hammer
that.
everybody, each roller, everyone. I got to test every fucking cigar. And
Okay, so yeah, so you roll it yourself, and you got the perfect blend. How long does it take you to teach that roll? Do you dissect one of those cigars and like this is how we do it, or
yeah,
before you're
basically, most of the people I had worked with since I was pretty young, they had already been rollers for 30 or 40 years,
oh, okay.
and they really knew. They were sort. I didn't let anybody roll in my factory that didn't have at least 15 years of experience. So,
That's
everybody
solid.
was like on point.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's been refined over the years.
And also,
The
not only
history.
that, but I also didn't let people roll more cigars than, so I didn't pay by the per cigar. I just paid them really good salary because I wanted them to roll good cigars. So I didn't want them to rush through it. I didn't want them to like make a
That
cigar.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Because
Wow.
look, managers in most of these factories, they just pressure them to produce huge amounts of cigars every day.
Yeah.
I didn't really care about that. I just wanted good cigars.
I
So
was at the J.C. Newman factory, and then when they're rolling the American, they limit the rollers to 100 per day. Whatever. I mean that's all you're allowed to roll. Take your
well,
time.
that's a smart way to do it.
Take your time and put out 100 perfect cigars, and that's
Right.
all we ask of you.
And Duncan, when you visited Don Pepin, they have the same.
Dude, it's funny because to Lars's point and also Kevin, again, I come at it strictly retail. What's going to work? Where I'm going to sell it. So I do research also on factories. I do research on the actual brand owners. How long has their blenders, their rollers, their boncheros? I go into manufacturing as well because if you bring me a cigar, and this has happened countless times wherever I've worked, I haven't had reps tell me it's a fantastic cigar. It's a $16 MSRP. I go, stop. For $16 and you're handing me a Robusto, this better be one insane cigar. Where is it being manufactured? The people, how long has this factory been? I mean, I go into questioning the reps. If the rep doesn't have the answers, I find out who the owner is. How can I get in touch with him? I know very few tobacconists approach things the way I do, and that's okay, not a problem. But I want to know about the cigar. I also blend. I know how to blend. I know how to roll. Being from farm people, I know the dynamics of not the seed to smoke, the dynamics of the soil to the actual smoke. And Lars, we were talking about that not too long ago. So when I get a rep or anybody coming to tell me about a cigar, I'm going to put you to the test. I want to know if you are representing a cigar that you truly know about it, or you just want to sell it to get the ball rolling on money. So I love when people tell me, no, 15 years minimum is the history of these guys. When I look at folks like JC Newman, just again to that point,
he turned
folks,
he turned 70, I think, today.
yeah, I mean, and the people who also roll, by the way, the Hemingway series, 100 cigars only.
Yeah.
They are mandated to take two 15-minute breaks and a 1 hour lunch, at which point they get up, they walk around, Chateau de la Fuente, which is the main house for the high-end Fuente brands. They're supposed to, walk out, get some fresh air, stretch their legs. And those teams, literally, minimum is 20 years in the company. So that is something that I want to hear. I want to fall in love with that, because
You
then
know, I
it's easy.
love that about Duncan because I literally had 2 and 3 generations working for me. So I mean, I
That's
totally relate with that. I am
Wow.
so there, man. You know, it's a family business, and I really I want everybody who works with me to be like family.
Yeah, and I despise the terminology master blenders, and when they use the DON as a prefix. I said there's very few dons in this industry, very few, and a great deal of them are dying. They're moving on. So when I hear upstarts using, well, he's a master blender, I go, no, he's not. No, he's not. To be a master, you have to understand tobacco from every region of the world and how it interacts and melts in the production of that blend and the fruition, which is the cigar itself. And I've had that talk with brand owners, with farmers, with rollers. And to me, when I hear master this, master that, I take a step back and I said, well, tell me about the people who are working in the factories. Don't tell me about you. I don't care about you. Tell
Oh
me about,
yes, thank you, Duncan. That's so true.
you know,
That
I
is
You
don't know.
can't you
so
can't be
true.
you can't be a self-proclaimed or a self-anointed don.
Nah, dude,
Yeah.
hell no.
It doesn't work that way.
No,
The only
that's
dons that I'm afraid of
ridiculous.
are the mafia dons. Those are the only ones that I'm afraid of.
Sorry, guys, I just brought Reggie in. Look, he comes
That's
down.
fine.
Hey,
Oh, what a nice
Hey.
dog. Look at Reggie. Let's get him a pint.
He was banging on the door. He wants to come in.
It was probably like 2 a.m. there. Poor Reggie.
yeah.
Listen, guys. I want to thank everybody for being on the show. This was a fantastic conversation, interaction. Kev, I want to start off with you. Plug your show. Plug where we can find Cigar Prop.
I mean, head over to YouTube. You can type in Cigar Prop, cigarprop.com for cigar accessories. Pretty much just everywhere online: Instagram, Twitch, TikTok, Twitter. Periscope. It's just Cigar Prop. You can find me everywhere.
Kevin is everywhere. Duncan Ramon Echevarria.
Doña Noli Cigars, the website, of course, and very similar to Kev. We moved everything pretty much online right now. So if you want to find out about Los Tres Maduros, which is the show that we do, it's just 3 idiots talking and making people laugh. We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, all the other T's.
Yeah.
Titty.
Dunk,
He
yeah,
said
Dunk-
titty.
Duncan's like, Doña Noli, I'm places.
Yeah,
I'm places. Yeah.
Type in Harry Cuban Daddy. I can't compete with Kevin, man.
Yeah.
He is tough.
Yeah. I'm places.
Kevin's good.
You can find me. I'm there. Moving along.
There's a wanted poster for me. There you go. Let's work with that.
That's funny. That's great. Big D.
He means you,
Facebook
Daryl, not
and
me.
Instagram.
Hit him up on Instagram and Facebook. Lit Premium Cigar Experiences. Daryl, we got to get Kevin to be your promo guy.
Yeah. It's a very short promo. Instagram. That's it. That was the promo. Yeah.
I wanted to point everything out as you all tell everybody where you can find you. Kevin's going to heckle you the entire time.
With it.
Des, you are up, and you're going to get heckled. So go right ahead. We're
YouTube is predominant. It's the Cigar Cabin. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter. I've not gone on to TikTok yet. I'm going to try and have a little look into that. But generally, it's YouTube, the Cigar Cabin, and Instagram, and on Facebook. So that's where you find the Cigar Cabin.
awesome.
Reggie.
Lars, you're everywhere.
Yeah, well, yeah. But if people can jump on the Lars Teton's Presents thing, we kind of just started that up. I'm trying to build that thing up. That's going to be like fun. It will have a lot of other stuff on it, not just cigars, comedy, music, that kind of stuff, and food and stuff. It's got a whole
Definitely.
little array. And go to my YouTube. There's some songs up there and whatever. Hey, Kara, do you want me to serenade?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
We cannot have the show not end without a Lars song. But I want to thank everybody.
No,
I want to reach out real quick. Des, reach out to me TikTok. I'll help you out before you
Yeah,
go over there.
100%.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah, I need some help. Yeah, absolutely.
And Kevin, you cannot sing. You're not allowed to sing. Daryl, I know I'm not allowed to sing.
I'm
I
not.
don't
We've
sing.
established that.
No.
Can I sing?
No.
Duncan, no.
I can do it in Spanish.
No.
Primero vamos a bajar, después a golpear. Primero a bajar,
No!
golpear. Dale!
No.
Bird to the sky, I'm gonna get so high. Turn the bird to the sky, I'm gonna get so high. Gaze that fire in the eye, I'm gonna get so high. Turn the bird to the sky, I'm gonna get so high. Bird of that's how we roll. Got them gummies that'll blow your whole load. Got that bishop that'll take you there. Got so high, I don't care. Yeah, turn the bird to the sky. I'm gonna get so high. Turn the bird to the sky. I'm gonna get so high. Gaze that fire in the eye. I'm gonna get so high. Turn the bird to the sky. I'm gonna get so high. Gonna fly so high like that bird to the sky. Yeah, Lost in Scum is gonna take that ride. Floating underwater that'll change the tide. Yeah, turn the bird to the sky. I'm gonna get so high. Turn the bird to the sky. I'm gonna get so high. Gaze that fire in the eye. I'm gonna get so high. Turn that bird to the sky. I'm gonna get so high. I'm bouncing two girlies on my bird, that's true. And all the other bitches shy. Me too. Don't know if I'm gonna take a wife, cause I'm on that dirt road, ripping the low life. Turn the bird to the sky. I'm gonna get so high. Turn the bird to the sky. I'm gonna get so high. Gaze that fire in the eye. I'm gonna get so high. Turn the bird to the sky. I'm gonna get so high.
Superb.
Thank you, Sheridan!
Lovely, thank you. What a way to end it.
Fantastic.
Super.
Duncan, I was gonna,
Down,
Lars gonna be the opening act, and I was gonna come in, but I thought, no.
down.
It was an honor being on the show with all you guys. Thank you.
It's an honor with all having you
Thank you
guys
very
on,
much.
man. What a great time. Daryl, Duncan, Dez, Kev, Lars, what a great show. Thanks again for being on. What a great way to wrap up this series of the cigar construction, the tobaccos, the binder, the filler, the wrapper, the marketing, and then now the reviewers. And fantastic, man. That's all I can say.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Good to meet you all.
Good to meet you. From all of us here, we are here at the Stogie Road. We'll see you next week. You don't know what it's going to be about, but we are going to pop up. We're going to talk about it. Everybody have a great evening. Have a great weekend. God bless. We love you.
Love you.
Peace.
Guys.
Yeah.